Hey everyone, I'm creating a next generation network with human rights as its pillar. And as a first step, I'm proud to say that I've already built a debate platform with an AI creator on argument maps. Think of it as a maps app for reasoning. The reason I'm creating this video is that I've reached the limits of my own self-funding and I would need external funding for testing, releasing, and scaling the application. So I would like to present my slides to you. Thank you for joining me. Hello world, my name is Sam and I'm thrilled to share something special with you today. I've started Claritrie. Instead of pitching in a closed boardroom, I want to bring it straight to you as my first audience. I'm not going to get too technical. I want most people to understand me and for this to be approachable. I'm trying to build the ultimate navigation system. Think of it as map apps for debates and problem solving to help users chart the best path to their goal through reasoning. I'm going to share the overarching goal and explore the key obstacles and how they shape my approach, and hopefully get to a demo where you get to see part of one application, which is one of the subsystems I've developed, and then we'll look ahead at our next steps for progress. In the same way that we're all expected to conduct ethical driving, I would like us to believe that we can achieve ethical communication online as well. I guess it's about safety, being conscious of the health and safety of people around us, of others around us. For now, roads empty and clunky traffic lights is a starting point, but I'm happy with that. It's a good starting point. So, I want us to ask ourselves, what is expected of a next-gen communication platform? What does it look like, and how should we feel using it? In many cases, I'm actually speaking about adhering to basic human rights. I'm afraid some people know of that problem, yet can't comprehend that harsh reality towards others. Over the past decade, like most of us, I imagine, I've been critical of social networks and their influence on discourse. So it's essentially just about an environment simply focused on human progress. I would assume requires that these basic needs of the United Nations, UDHR, which you can see on your right hand side, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which has about 30 articles. I would imagine that would be common sense, and I don't think we're asking for much this last 10 years or so. QR codes, as you can see on the bottom right, are going to be appearing through the presentation. They're essentially links to sources and relevant info. In this case, it's just official sites UDHR. And that essentially just means ideas like the humans are born free and equal in dignity and rights, rights and freedoms, liberty and security of, of person. Things like that. There's a lot more in this site. Streamlining debate, filtering out noise and manipulation, including bots, and restoring agency to users. I want to create space where every voice can be heard and truly matter. I want you to know that for the scope of this presentation, I'm going to be focused on text-based communication. For audio, pictures, and video comms are technologies that will be built upon this foundation anyway. Protecting human rights isn't just about laws and policies, it's about ensuring truth prevails over biases and fallacies, because misinformation can be just as damaging as injustice itself. We're currently aware of this as a term, fact-checking, but unfortunately most applications have been quite short-sighted, I guess. As Eric Schmidt, quoted here, former CEO of Google, has said, in the context of generative AI, technology will amplify both truth and manipulation. As he says here, more sophisticated lawsuits, more platforms to mislead you. I essentially just interpret that as more problems coming your way. One could argue that there are a few sites out there where biases and fallacies are tagged on news articles, but I want to emphasize that problems aren't just about news media. It's also about mediums, but for this presentation, problems are much more ubiquitous, granular, and polymorphic. They come in many forms, and they're all around us. I like comments. We've gotten used to writing them, so I can imagine someone like me saying there's something better for solving problems online to rethink our approach would be difficult to hear. The image on the right captures the chaos of navigating online discussions. That's how I feel when I see them. Bot spam and sheer volume often makes us avoid engaging altogether. Sometimes mass responses stem from coordinated efforts, so supporters of a movement rallying behind one same old idea, or trolls drowning out opposing viewpoints. The problem is traditional comment-based discussions fail to create clarity, often leading to confusion and disengagement. So how do we build conversations that actually work? Let's start with what simple resolution in our mind, I guess one could call it a solution as well. As you can see, I couldn't use a cartoon character, we have Tom. So the main resolution is at the top node. It works best as a declarative statement. I declare Tom is a mammal. In this case, from educational experience. In convergent reasoning, you take multiple pieces of known information and logically combine them to reach a singular conclusion. The logical conclusion here being Tom is a mammal. This follows the classic form of deductive reasoning, where a general objective rule, all cats are mammals, and a specific subjective case, Tom is a cat, lead to an unavoidable conclusion. Everything underneath the main resolution is justifying it. So I guess it stays in context, okay? So if I were to read this whole map upwards, it would be, it is because I see Tom every day that Tom is a cat, and it's also because all cats are mammals that Tom is a mammal. Now, every day of our lives is spent taking actions based on these resolutions embedded in us by default. So this is just a very simple case scenario. Now, what if I said we could do this as a hive mind all together in real time? This form of an argument map isn't the end goal, it's the starting point. No one likes arguing, but adults which truly want peace know that it requires us facing the problems head on to solve them. The good news is that I think it can be fun, and I guess if it's gamified. This is essentially the try in Claritrie. Essentially a top to bottom tree. I just have a simple traffic light colors for this example, So for supporting, opposing, and exploring. I want to raise awareness that on the following components that society may have lacked the right tools to navigate through seeing and sharing a problem: adopting an opinion, taking a position, and capturing a snapshot of all correlated and causal reasons behind a large decision of any kind. Now, the decision isn't here, but it's something you could derive after seeing your options, as you can see here. Thanks to the current AI tools, I'll be able to become the perfect, we all will be able to become the perfect consumer and subscriber, reserving tables, buying products with almost zero effort. And I'm glad for that too. But there's a need for critical literacy. It doesn't look like any of the current AI tools exercise their critical thinking capabilities. As stated in the paper here, younger participants who exhibited higher dependence on those AI tools scored lower in critical thinking compared to their other counterparts. I'm just actually worried that it will even get worse with the fragmented way we discuss issues today. In fact, people get distracted quite easily or simply just stop caring. Blind reliance can lead to poor decisions, misinformation, a loss of transparency, undermining trust, and independent verification. Even when it comes to benefiting a group, building a better future requires critical thinking and real-time awareness of evolving human experiences. And I literally mean being able to update it on a daily basis in real time, and hopefully, because people's experiences change day by day as well. So thinking critically ensures that these solutions are well reasoned, not just convenient. In this map, which we all share, which we can see before us, is what I mean by share. Each person may notice that what seems to be an issue for one and a concern for another within each node. You may have different positions or stances with what you're seeing here for your own reasons and life experiences, but you can register and understand the weight and existence of all the 4 claims here, okay? With regards to being a vegetarian or not, or when not to, or who it applies to. I definitely think a snapshot like this helps in better decision making, don't you guys? So, to clarify ideas, structuring our thoughts, presenting them logically, refines our own understanding of a topic. Strong arguments backed by evidence can influence others for meaningful change. For collaboration, when process is a dialogue rather than a battle, argumentation can lead to shared solutions and deeper connections. Sharpens our ability to analyze, evaluate, and respond to different perspectives. That's all clear. For example, as you can also see here, contrarian people could apply their arguments here, but in some cases they don't often realize that their opposing response often fragment from the main goal, but because it's curated to that premise, it would be forced to apply to this argument specifically under the context of everyone should become vegetarian. Each node is a commitment to the main premise. So opposing an argument does not mean you've disproven it. Explaining this could take longer, but I think having a deeper look at this argument with the 4 claims underneath counterclaims also, I guess, explains it better than words can. Next slide. This is what it means to build a reasoning map. It's about moving together to create something meaningful, not defeating our interlocutor or the opposing person on the other side. So how does this work as a collaborative social activity, building blocks together? I would like to give you a demo. So we're looking through our decks, essentially debates, discussions. We've picked Claritrie will succeed. That's the main block, the main resolution, the main point of the discussion. So let's add our own block, our own contribution. I would choose a stance, whether to argue against, for, or to add context. So I'm taking a position and submitting a claim, which is, in this case, funding is needed to scale. I'm trying to add context to this discussion. I submit it to the AI moderator. It assesses whether it's a valid submission or not. If not, it would be rejected. I come back later, check, and it seems that it's been completed, and also transparently gives me a response as to why it's accepted. We all recognize a black box, something we use but don't fully understand. Amadei, the CEO of Anthropic and co-creator of RLHF, emphasizes AI safety and transparency, warning that advanced systems will shape economies, technology, and security, making ignorance unacceptable. The quote he actually used was, "I consider it basically unacceptable for humanity to be totally ignorant of how they work." Now, in Claritrie, I don't claim to have the ultimate solution. I have 2 small steps towards transparency based on outcome-driven, insight-focused context and parallelism. I've introduced one, which was argument mapping, as you've seen, but the second one is under wraps for now. In current systems, an accessible and transparent way of scanning, what developers call parsing, and for also validating logical segments of information, JSON is used. You can see that on top left, that's the format that's shown. And in case of debugging, trying to see when things go wrong, JSON lets developers quickly inspect and understand the data without needing special tools. Same for extensibility, it can be modified and expanded without breaking existing functionality, unlike rigid binary formats, which you can see on the right hand side. What I'm trying to highlight here is our relationship to information, that we can use structures like trees, maps, and current states in case of a state machine, for example. People in tech take advantage of this, but I think that integrity and dynamic responsiveness can be relayed to all people, including even non-technical regulators. For example, just humor me here, like even non-technical people can understand the decision tree on the bottom left. In fact, I would even propose robots implement human readable data as facial expressions or intent monitors at the back. I could elaborate on that further, but we can just move on for the sake of this presentation. So in the case of subjective truth, a lot of these issues are going to be resolved. I actually do believe that they're going to reduce the harm that's caused, but I just want you to be aware of them. So digital spaces adapt our preferences for personalized reality, shaping how we see the world, sometimes reinforcing beliefs rather than challenging them. So filter bubbles are algorithms that keep us in our comfort zone by showing only content that matches our views. It's a limited view, of course. Recommendation algorithms suggesting content based on what we've interacted with, further reinforcing our own existing biases. For preference optimized content, tailored content that keeps us engaged but also narrows the range of ideas we're exposed to. Some people like these recommendations because they'll get a product that they can buy based on what they've bought before. I get it. So in case of amplified biases, AI can magnify biases by adapting to user preferences, creating an illusion of consensus rather than offering balance. Sycophancy is essentially AI that agrees with the user just to be likable even when they're wrong. Confirmation bias enhancement is AI feeding users more of what they already believe instead of offering diverse viewpoints. Synthetic authority is AI generated content that sounds authoritative but isn't necessarily based on real expertise. In the case of objective truth, I think there's a need for basic common sense, and I'm very concerned about how corporations are handling that. For your information, there are 3 versions of the same gulf because one guy said so. You can see that on the bottom right at the blog. I'm sure corporations will be handling truth and reasoning as well as this example because they care about objective truth. A blog probably shouldn't be the state of art technical solution for international law in 2025. Tech capitalism, populism, and foreign actors. Sometimes it isn't even human fingers on keyboards, just bots, automated software, and it's about to be a lot of them. Social connections are a $1 trillion market and it's starting to get wilder and more hostile than it used to be. Essentially, it's an information battlefield with automated accounts, organized, coordinated human efforts, even trolls, amplify certain narratives to shape public perception. I essentially see this as an attack on the lived experience, the built value of memories, trauma, empathy, and culture. If you thought otherizing was bad, how do you think unrealizing will manifest? I bootstrapped this far, but now I need support to take this to the next level, which is why I'll be spending time trying to contact accelerators and sending them this video as my pitch. In the meantime, I'll be introducing you to my Patreon account. I'll be trying crowdfunding until I get any startup acceleration funding. I have one little surprise though. It's another product which will be my first one released. It's been used on this slide actually already. You've already seen some of it. And it's a free and open source project. I personally believe that this free tool is a great place to start this journey for better lateral and divergent thinking, and I would like it to be mainstream and easily accessible to everyone. And it's called Fresgy. Since the mobile app is still yet to be publicly deployed, I think desktop users will enjoy testing their own lateral tool here. I built this site because the experience of using argument map is much more challenging than writing comments, so it would be a great starting point on this journey. Here is a short demo. So here we are at Fresgy, and the first thing you're going to see is a node called main resolution or root resolution, which I can just click and set it for myself now. So what could it be? I'll make it very simple. It doesn't have to be a complex situation. So the problem or solution we're trying to get to is going to be a declarative statement like we are going to Paris in June. Going to Paris in June. So part of making a argument maps accessible is being wary of mental models, so what people are used to. So it's straightforward, liking, supporting, opposing, thumbs up, thumbs down, and raise hand emoji, which is for exploring. So we'll start with the simpler one. We are supporting, we are going to Paris in June. So once I click the emoji, it's not a double click this time for editing. I can say we're going to Paris in June, we booked it. We have a booking already. Okay, and that is a supporting claim. In the case of opposing that, I would say, Gustav is going to summer camp. Okay. In June, I guess. I should have just said it. I'll double click again in June. Now, we have a problem here, and at least everybody's aware of it, and it's in the snapshot. So we're going to Paris, so I'm exploring that now. So can we rebook without losing money? Now this can be a question mark. Exploration doesn't necessarily have to be question mark. It could be just another statement as well. But in this case, this one is easier to get. So this one is a however, a because, a but, and however, supporting, opposing, exploring, pro, con, exp. I guess call it X for exploratory, or yeah. So we have these three. I'll just drag this here to be in the middle, and we can keep going on with this. So I could say we have booking already. Can we confirm we have the booking as an opposition? So yeah. So can we confirm the booking? Let's just say ID even. Okay. Now you can see I even made this a question mark, but it's actually an opposition. It's a problem that's opposing what we would like to be a resolution at this stage. Someone opposing this or supporting this might be the opposite on another case. So at the end of the day, you're all building together towards going to Paris in June. You're trying to understand the problem and provide a full snapshot. I could change, if I'm colorblind, or I can change this to my liking, so it doesn't have to be that kind of color for all agreeing. And if you want all your opposing to have a different color, you can do that too. It's not restricted to any of them. So let's just say we don't want to talk about the booking. We want to leave it out and just focus on it. I can just take away all of them at this side. So you can just drag them to their parent. But what I'm going to do is drag this one to the parent, because then this whole strand will be gone and removed. Okay, so I'm just dragging it and it's gone. And we can start thinking about Paris in June in a new way or fashion. We could reset colors, and that's really all we have now. The canvas can be changed too, but I just want to give you a brief overview. If you're a person who's like doesn't care about AI, doesn't want it, but still wants to troubleshoot argument maps, this is for you. Okay, thanks so much. So I look forward to seeing how Fresky helps you navigate and create snapshots of any troubleshooting you're tackling in your own spaces. Feel free to share any screenshots too. The best case scenario for me is schools and universities trying it out for educational and collaborative reasons. I can imagine some good philosophy sessions, science, etc. There are many updates I have planned for it, and also my other subsystems, but I'll have public roadmaps for all products along the way too. I hope front-end Vue.js, specifically Vue.js developers, can help polish it or contribute their 2 cents, since it's free and open source, open to everybody. Thanks. I built something special, and I've gotten this far with zero outside funding as of the release of this video. This company, if funded well, will try pushing even more boundaries that others might think are impossible. I've definitely had some thoughts I've had that would be impossible, but I've actually gone past those. But I've reached the limit of what one person can achieve alone. Please share your thoughts Feel free to critique it as much as possible. If you have any long messages you'd like to send, you've got it there on the right hand side, claritrie@gmail.com. I'm happy to read any of them. I need believers who see the vision and want to help scale something that could genuinely change how we communicate as a society, or at least be part of that ecosystem. If I'm lucky, I might even make it to a Fireship video if we scale up. Follow Claritrie on socials and join my Patreon if you want to be part of building the future. I've got 0 people on my marketing team, so sharing and liking my posts and videos, subscribing will help me a lot along the way. The description in this video will have more details. I'll keep updating them. So thank you very much for your time, and let's do this together.
Together we'll be free.